Welcome to the Privacy Report. This is the show where we try to give you the cheat sheet for navigating the digital world securely. Today, we're unpacking a service that seems like a gift, but, well, it often turns out to be a Trojan horse.
Yeah.
We are talking about the free virtual private network, or VPN.
It's a huge area of confusion for people right now. I mean, as awareness grows about tracking from ISPs, advertisers, all of that, the demand for VPNs has just exploded.
And with that explosion, you get a wave of, let's say, less than reputable options.
Exactly. Malicious services, low-quality services, all claiming to offer privacy for free. So our mission today is really to cut through that marketing noise. We want to expose the hidden business models, the data risks, the technical failures, basically give you the clarity you need to actually safeguard your data.
Absolutely. Clarity is the goal.
Yeah.
We need to understand not just what they're doing, but why. And before we dive in, if you want more context on this stuff, you can subscribe to our newsletter over at theprivacyreport.net.
So let's start with the basic economics of it. Because a truly free, high-quality VPN service is, well, it's pretty much an economic impossibility.
It costs a lot of money to do this, right?
And an incredible amount. You have to maintain thousands of servers all over the globe. And we're not talking cheap commodity servers. These are high-performance machines that can handle huge traffic loads.
And then there's the bandwidth.
Right?
Leasing those high-speed connections in different countries must be a massive recurring cost.
It is, and that's just the infrastructure. Then you have the human capital. You need specialized security engineers. You need maintenance teams.
People who are basically on call 24/7 fighting vulnerabilities.
Exactly. That kind of operation costs millions of dollars a year.
Okay, so if the user isn't paying a subscription, how on earth are they covering those costs?
And that is the fundamental question. The difference between a legitimate paid service and a free one is all about where that revenue comes from. If it's not coming from you, the customer,
Then it'd have to come from monetizing you.
it must.
Let's unpack that, because
yeah.
this misalignment of incentives is really the core of the whole problem, isn't it?
It is.
A paid VPN has a simple incentive.
Yeah,
Keep your data secure, so you keep paying them.
right.
A free VPN has the total opposite incentive. They need to get something valuable out of your connection to sell. So how do they do that?
Based on a lot of research into this, it really boils down to three main ways. And all of them are bad for your privacy.
Okay.
The first and the most lucrative for them is just the wholesale collection and sale of your data, your behavioral insights, what you do online. It all gets bundled up and sold.
Wait, let's pause on that. So you're saying a lot of these aren't really privacy companies at all. They're basically data brokers wearing a VPN trench coat.
That's a perfect way to put it, yes.
Yeah.
The second path is injecting their own ads directly into your connection,
Oh.
which is not just annoying. It creates an active man-in-the-middle situation. It can expose you to malware, tracking scripts, things they control.
And the third strategy.
The third one is it's just cynical. It's deliberate bandwidth throttling. They make the connection painfully slow and unstable.
So you get frustrated.
You get frustrated, you assume it's just because it's the free version, and then they aggressively push you to upgrade to their premium tier.
Which might just be the same service without the artificial slowdown.
Sometimes, but not always without the trackers, it's a gamble. What's really fascinating, though, is just how aggressive the data harvesting is, especially on mobile. They're not just looking at high-level stuff.
So what are they logging specifically? What's the data that we should be worried about them selling?
Well, the logs often include connection timestamps. So exactly when you connect and disconnect.
Pinpointing your activity.
Exactly. They log detailed device identifiers or IDs, these unique codes tied to your specific phone or computer. And this is the big one, they log all your DNS requests.
Okay, let's define that for everyone. A DNS request is what exactly, and why is it so revealing?
So DNS stands for Domain Name System. It's basically the phone book of the internet. When you type in a website like theprivacyreport.net, your computer sends a DNS request to translate that name into a machine-readable IP address.
Got it.
If the VPN provider is logging those requests, they have a complete unencrypted list of every single website you even try to visit.
Even if the site itself is using HTTPS encryption.
Even then. A good VPN handles this privately. A bad one logs it and sells it.
And this is where it gets really interesting, where it crosses into the specialized world of ad tech surveillance.
Right.
There are documented cases of free VPNs and even some ad blockers. embedding code from analytics firms directly into their software.
That's right. And this code isn't for performance monitoring. It's designed specifically to harvest user information that goes way beyond just browsing history.
What kind of information are we talking about?
We're talking deep device and app level activity. What other apps do you have installed? How often do you use them? Sometimes even your location data if you've given the app permissions.
And all of that gets funneled to third-party analytics networks.
Directly. And they use it to build these incredibly detailed profiles on you as an individual. The tool that is supposed to be masking your identity is actually acting as the most powerful, privileged tracker on your device.
That is the ultimate betrayal. You're basically swapping surveillance from your ISP, which is at least somewhat regulated, for unchecked surveillance by a private company whose only goal is to sell you out.
You are paying for the service with your entire digital life. And this leads us straight into the security risks, which, frankly, might be even more alarming than the privacy violations.
How so?
The number one security risk is that false sense of security a bad VPN gives you. You start acting less cautiously online. You think you're safe, so you let your guard down. But the VPN has actually introduced a massive new vulnerability.
What are some of the specific technical problems that we see?
We often find they're using really outdated encryption protocols, things like PPTP, which is, it's easily broken today.
So they're cutting corners on the actual security part.
They're prioritizing low cost over security, absolutely. Sloppy server configuration, poor maintenance, it's rampant. They leave ports exposed, creating backdoors that attackers can exploit.
And you mentioned something before that sounds just awful. Deliberate traffic injection.
Yes, this is the worst case scenario. It means the VPN provider is actively inserting code ads, tracking pixels, whatever, into the web pages you're looking at.
So they're not creating a clean, secure tunnel. They're corrupting the data stream.
For their own financial gain, yes. And when you combine that with poor encryption and sloppy configuration, the VPN itself becomes a man in the middle.
A new point of exposure.
A new massive point of exposure. They're sitting between you and the internet, intercepting everything. It doesn't just expose your browsing to them, it weakens your entire connection's integrity, making you vulnerable to other attackers who might compromise their shoddy infrastructure.
It's the definition of adding risk instead of removing it. We should also touch on browser extensions, the free VPNs that just live in your browser. They seem so convenient.
Incredibly popular, but also uniquely risky. For one, they usually only encrypt the traffic inside that browser, leaving everything else on your computer exposed.
Okay.
And worse, because it operates as an extension, it has the highest level of privilege inside that browser window. It can see everything. It can inject scripts directly into your session, watch what you type into forms.
So the convenience is a huge, huge privacy trade-off.
A massive one.
So connecting this all together, the only real path forward is to prioritize transparency over cost. The incentives have to be aligned with the user.
That is the essential truth. When you pay for a trustworthy VPN, you hire a service. Their financial goal is your privacy. If they break that trust, they lose your business.
But with a free service.
With a free service, you're volunteering your data to a platform whose financial goal is data monetization. It's a fundamental conflict.
But it's not enough to just choose a paid service, right?
Yeah.
It's even some paid VPNs can have shady practices.
Absolutely. You need a checklist. You need to know how to vet any provider you're considering.
Okay, so let's give the listener those practical steps. What do you need to do right now?
Okay, we've broken it down into 5 essential steps. First, and this is non-negotiable, you must examine the provider's privacy policy.
And actually read it, not just scroll to the bottom and click agree.
Exactly. And you are looking for an explicit, verifiable commitment to no user identifying logs. If the policy is vague, or if it mentions retaining connection, timestamps, device IDs, anything like that.
That means they're logging.
It means they are logging. Walk away immediately.
Okay, step 1 is the policy. What's step 2?
Step 2, check who owns the VPN, do some independent research, find the parent company.
Yeah.
So many free VPNs, and even some cheap paid ones, are just fronts for ad tech companies.
And if the parent company's business is selling data?
Then you can bet that's what will happen to your data, no matter what the marketing says.
Makes sense. What's number 3?
Number 3 is independent verification. Look for independent security audits or transparency reports. A reputable VPN will hire a third-party firm to come in and verify their claims.
So trust, but verify.
Or rather, don't trust, only verify. If they claim great security but won't let anyone check their work, that is a huge red flag.
Okay, step 4.
Avoid services that are bundled with other free software.
Mm.
Free antivirus, phone boosters, system cleaners. This is a classic tactic to hide invasive tracking software. It's especially common on mobile.
Right.
And finally, step 5. Prefer services that offer open source clients.
Why is that so important?
It's all about transparency. Open source means the code is public. Anyone, security researchers, you, me, can inspect it to make sure the software is actually doing what it claims to be doing and not hiding any nasty surprises.
Okay, so we have to ask the obvious question then. Are all free VPNs automatically malicious? Is there no exception?
There is a tiny, tiny exception. A handful of highly audited, well-known services offer a free tier. Something like Proton VPN is a good example.
And how does that work?
Their free tier is subsidized by their paying customers. They maintain the same strict no-logging policy for everyone, but they are the exception that proves the rule. Their main business is selling subscriptions, not data. The vast majority of services marketed as a free VPN are in that danger zone we've been talking about.
So you need to look for that standard of transparency. Companies that really put their money where their mouth is. I know Mulvad VPN is famous for this. They let you create an account anonymously, even paying cash.
Exactly. They're removing identifiers from the equation entirely. IVPN is another great example. Clear, no-logging policy, open-source apps, public audits. That level of openness should be your absolute minimum benchmark. Anything less is a risk.
So this brings us to the final takeaway. Our goal for you today is pretty simple. Take a few minutes and review your current VPN provider, especially if it's free.
Pull up its privacy policy right now.
And if it fails even one of those 5 steps we just listed, especially the logging policy or the lack of audits, you really need to switch. Switch to a transparent audited service that makes its money by protecting your data, not by selling it.
Just remember that any tool you use for security can also be a tool for surveillance if you don't understand the incentives behind it. You have to make sure your solution isn't secretly part of the problem.
So what does this all mean? Consider this. If a company runs this huge, expensive global server network, gives you a high bandwidth service, and doesn't charge you a single dollar for it, what incredibly valuable product are you unknowingly supplying to them that makes that entire operation profitable? That's the question that really has to guide every digital decision you make.
Thank you for tuning into the Privacy Report.
Please like and subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. It helps other people find the show, and you'll never miss another discussion on securing your digital life.
And we must include the mandated disclaimer. This episode was made with the assistance of AI.